To discuss with us our topic for tonight, which is 3 key numbers every entrepreneur must master for sustainability. Our special guest tonight is no other than Mr. Isaac Boache, who is also a member of Hypac Services, a very seasoned accountant who knows exactly what he knows to talk about. All of you have listened to Mr. Albert Nkufu would attest to the fact that any professional that we bring them here, especially accountants, are people who really know what they do. Isaac is a friend, it's a close friend to Mr. Albert Nkufu as well. And tonight, together, we are going to share some ideas to us. And for all of us who have joined us again tonight, I say welcome and thank you very much. Isaac, you are welcome tonight. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for having me.
Great. Thank you once again for making time to join us, because when I told you about the topic, you were so excited to join us to discuss this, because what you said to me was that many businesses are failing because they don't know their numbers. Would you kindly take a few minutes to talk about it before you even introduce yourself? Why don't many business owners know the numbers they're supposed to be tracking in their businesses?
Well, I would say that is because most business owners or entrepreneurs start business, should I say, with emotions instead of with financial expertise or financial know-how. In fact, I normally say that once you start a business, there are some languages you should know how to speak. And in that, I mean that you should know, number one, how to speak the financial language, how to speak the marketing language, how to speak the human resource or customer service language. So in fact, the whole thing is, once you have decided to be an entrepreneur or once you have decided to start a business, at least you should know how much you are putting into the business and how much you are supposed to expect or you are expecting out of the business. If you don't know how to go by this, then definitely I am saying, or I can say that the journey you have started would not actually end well.
Great, thank you very much. And that brings me to us now introduce Mr. Isaac Boache. I asked him that question because this was exactly what he told me when I started conversing with him about this very topic. So, Mr. Isaac Boache, once you have told us this, we want to know you. Who exactly are you?
Isaac Boache, I would say, is an entrepreneur, and I've worked as a business development consultant for entrepreneurs and business owners for the past um, 8 years, and it's been good. We are making impacts, working with university students as well, people that I call MBAs, those who are running their traditional businesses in the smaller communities, and they are doing very well. And throughout this journey, we have actually come to understand how to run business in terms of finance and all other aspects. So I would say, simply put, I am an entrepreneur and a business development consultant. And I hope that this evening, by your moderation and the families are on board, we will learn much this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we even go on to talk about what we are talking about tonight, I have a feed in my WhatsApp group that says from a lady called Linda. Linda says, thank you very much, Mr. TK and Mr. Boache. I remember you say aho, aho, yeah, 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 in our group when we're having our SBS at KNUST campus. Thank you so much. It was because of you that I understood what it takes to run a business. I was scared as a pharmacy student to even think of starting businesses, knowing how many people have started businesses that have failed. But you indeed inspired me to now rethink my idea of starting a business. Today is another day of Ahoya. Thank you very much. Wow. Mr. Wachi, before you even started the project, you see what is happening? You're already getting fans from your
Wow,
from
wow, wow, wow,
government.
wow. I am happy to hear that I have a soldier here. In fact,
I'm
Dr.
telling
TK,
you.
I always tell my students that once you decide to start a business, you are a soldier. You are going on a war. So the aho that you heard is where whenever military men or soldiers are training or they are going out for war, they shout aho, and then the others shout ahoya, just to signify to the opponents that yes, we are on our way coming. So my sister, thank you very much for being around, and I hope we can make impact this evening.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Linda, as well. And once again, thank you all participants here tonight for joining us and making time to join us for this discussion. As I said, as the conversation unfolds, if you have any contribution, any comment that you want to make, I'll be very glad to also hear from you and then also share your comments with everybody else. All right, so Mr. Wachi, what do you want to take it over from here? What exactly do you want to teach us about with the three key numbers that every entrepreneur must know?
Thank you very much once again, Doc. And then I want to appreciate the HIPAC team, as well as every entrepreneur, every student, every professional, and every business owner that is joining us this evening. There are many businesses that look successful from outside. In fact, when you are standing out and you look at how the business is going, you might think that everything is successful or everything is going on well. Probably you might say that customers are coming, sales are happening, social media is active, the owner looks busy, but behind the scenes, the business is struggling financially. In fact, in most cases, it is when you get closer to the owners that they will tell you the reality. Why? Because many entrepreneurs, as I said earlier on, start business emotionally instead of financially. They manage their businesses with emotions instead of knowing the numbers. So many business owners may know their customers, their products, their suppliers, but they do not know the numbers. And that is very, very dangerous, the numbers. So at this point, let me say that if you are not an accounting student or you didn't do accounting in school, or probably you've not even set foot at the classroom, don't worry yourself. This is not a matter of numbers, 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 even though we are mentioning numbers. But we are talking about you knowing what runs the business financially. That is what we are talking about. A doctor cannot diagnose a patient simply by looking at their clothes. If you go to the hospital and a doctor is going to diagnose you as a patient, by looking at your clothes that you are wearing, the doctor cannot diagnose you. But rather, the doctor might be taking care of the temperature you came with, your blood pressure, your pulse rate, your oxygen level, and sometimes they will even wait for the laboratory results. In the same way, every entrepreneur must check the health condition of the business using numbers. And in this case, that is the reason why this evening I would indulge everyone that you pay particular attention as we look at number one, the break-even point. And in other words, I say knowing your floor. Knowing your floor, that is the break-even point. The second one we look at is the burning or the burn rate. And that's why I call it knowing the clock. Because once you start a business, the clock will be ticking and you need to know the rate of the clock. And the third one we would be looking at is the profit margin, knowing the worth of your business, your profit margin. If you understand these three numbers, your business decisions will improve greatly. So that is actually what I would indulge everyone to pay particular attention with. Let's start with the break-even point. The break-even point. I remember growing up with my uncle and their wife who used to sell at Kaswa Market. Well, she will wake up in the morning and when she looks like the weather and it looks like the rain might fall or something like that, I say, oh, Erade, and then the Anya Misika back. At that point, I didn't understand what she used to say. But later in life, I came to the realization that she was talking about even if she doesn't get anything that day, God should help her to get the money she started the business with back. The break-even point is simply the point where your total revenue equals your total cost. The total revenue you are getting out of the business is equal to your total cost that you incur in running the business. In fact, at this point, you are not making profit and you are not making loss. You are not making profit. You are not also making loss. So we can say that you are simply surviving. Your business is simply surviving. Take a picture like a boat on the surface of the sea. And this boat is not moving on. It's not going anywhere. It's not moving. It's not in motion. Neither is this boat also sinking into the ocean. It is still at where it is. that is the point where we say the boat is not moving, it's neither also sinking. So when you just juxtapose it into business, then we can say that the business is not making profit, neither is it also making loss. It is at the point where the total revenue that is coming into the business is equal to the total expenses or the total cost. And I would say that, in fact, this is the level at least every good business or every business should start from. You can say that, oh, I started this jollof business with 500 Ghana cedis, and at the end of the day, I've gotten my 500 Ghana cedis back. That means that you didn't make any loss, neither did you also make any profit in terms of finance. So I am going to take an example and then we use that to talk about the break-even point. Imagine somebody selling fresh juice, let's say TK juice. The business sells a bottle for 10 cedis. And then the cost that the business incurred in making that one bottle, let's say the fruit or the ingredients, the bottle itself, the labels, the packaging and all others, that is the production cost, is also 4 cedis. Those who are writing, I said the business sells one bottle for 10 cedis. One fresh juice is 10 cedis. And by selling this 10 cedis as the price per unit, the cost or the production cost per unit is 4 cedis. And this cost includes the ingredients, the bottle, the labels, the packaging, and all other things. When we are looking at how much bottles that the business have to sell in order for the business to say that, oh, we started the business with so and so amount, and we have been able to sell so and so amount, so we have not made any profit, neither have we also made any loss. In most cases, when we are talking about cost and revenue and others, when you are looking at the cost in general, we would actually divide it into two. That is the fixed cost and the variable cost. The fixed cost over here, we will be talking about, should I say, the expenses that remain whether you sell or not. The expenses that remains whether you sell or not. So you have already started a business. There are some expenses that are going to go with you whether you sell a product or not. So in this case, you have already started a business, you are paying rent. Or in Ghana's case, you have already paid the rent. You are already paying salaries, electricity bill, and all other things that can be added. These are what we call the fixed cost, the cost that remain whether you sell or not. And then let's come to the second one, which is the variable cost. The variable cost over here are the cost that increases when production also increases. The cost that increases when production also increases. So in the example I'm using, TK Juice or the juice company, their variable costs may include probably sugar, the fruit that they are using, packaging, and other things that you add up. So understanding this of all these things, let's say that if the total cost, the total fixed cost, remember I've already said that the fixed costs include the salary, the rent, electricity, and others. The total fixed cost for this company is, let's say, for that period we are looking at is 1,200. And like I already said, they are selling one bottle for 10 cedis by incurring a variable cost of 4 cedis. Then we are asking ourselves, how many bottles should they sell so that they can cater for the variable cost as well as the total cost and the total fixed cost, so that we can end up by saying that they are not making profit, neither are they also making loss. Let me not bother you with formulas, but for you to look at the break-even point, like I've already said, you have to know your total fixed cost and divide it by what we call the contribution. In this case, the contribution means you are going to subtract your variable cost per one product or one unit from selling price per one unit. And that is what we call contribution. So let's say the bottle of one fruit juice bottle is 10 cedis. That is selling price per unit. And then the variable cost incurred in producing that product or that bottle is 4 cedis. Then we can say that 10 cedis minus 4 cedis is 6 cedis. That is our contribution or contribution margin. So if we want the break-even point, then we are going to divide the total fixed cost by the contribution margin, which is now 1,200 divided by 6. 1,200 divided by 6, and that will give us, if my calculator is right, that will give us 200. In this case, we can conclude by saying that the business or this company have to produce 200 bottles for them to now say that, okay, whenever we produce 200 bottles of this TK juice, we are not making profit, neither are we making loss, but we will be able to pay for our salaries, our light bill, our water bill, our fruit juice, our fruit or the, so we will be able to cover every other expenses. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that the break-even point is simply the point where your total revenue equals your total cost. You are neither making profit, neither are you making loss. Most people start businesses without knowing this. So per the example we have given, it means that whenever the business sells 200 up to 200 bottles, they are only surviving. They are not making any profits, neither are they also making loss. They are only surviving. If a day comes and the business sells only 199 bottles, they have made loss. If a day comes and they are able to sell 201 bottles, they have started making profit. But as soon as they sell up to 200 bottles, they are breaking even. They are not making profit, and neither are they making loss. If we should go around the participants we have online now and ask the kind of business that you are doing, how much sales or unit of product are you supposed to sell? So that you can say that, oh, I will pay salaries, I'll pay electricity, I'll pay this, I'll pay this, I'll pay this. But I wouldn't have any profit at the bank. It would be difficult for people to tell us. All that they know is that, yes, people are coming to buy, people are coming in, my staff are working. And in most cases, my sisters or my females online, at the end of the month, they will go to their spouses or they will go to the bank to borrow and then come back to pay all these expenses without knowing specifically that, oh, if we were able to produce up to this level, we would have breaking even, meaning that we would have been able to take care of our costs, and then even if for nothing at all, we'll not also have anything at the bank as our profit. So in fact, knowing your break-even point is very, very important because it will help you as an entrepreneur to know your minimum sales level for survival. Minimum sales level for survival. How much do I need to sell at least to survive in the industry or to just to have the business surviving?
Okay.
It will also help you to, okay.
Oh, please go ahead, conclude on this.
It will also help you to make realistic pricing. I remember last 3 days, I was talking with a woman from Maponte Market. She saw me not long ago when I was around for an exercise. And then she was having a conversation. I asked, how much do you sell your clothes a yard for? He says, oh, for the market, everybody sells it 18 cedis. So I'm also selling it 18 cedis. And I was like, no. Something should inform you as to the reason why you are selling that yard of cloth for that amount. And those who are here listening to me now, it is not always the point that you are entering into an industry or a market. So you are going by what everyone is doing. It is not always the case. That is why you go to Central Market or KT and our friends who are Nigerians, they will go bring in the product, look at their break-even point, and then add a margin on it, and then within a short time, they've been able to make sales, they will go and come back. But those of us who are just looking at the industry and looking at what everyone is doing, and I'm also doing that, our products will be at the shop for about 3 months or 6 months without being made sales. So knowing your break-even point will inform you as to making realistic pricing. And then lastly, before Dr. TK comes in, I will also say that it will help you to plan properly. Knowing your break-even point will also help you to plan properly. Doctor, please, you can come in.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Wache. I'm feeling you now. All right. So this is my understanding. I'm not an accountant. So please, just a disclaimer I have to tell everyone. I am not an accountant. And I remember I did a similar topic on this some time ago. And the first statement that I made was that I am not a professional accountant. I've sat under the feet of professional accountants. And based on what I've understood, that's what I'm teaching. So I'm also going to behave the same way today as a class, as a student. What Mr. Wache is trying to help us is this. Every business must know certain numbers. And one of the critical numbers you must know to determine the health of your business is to know your break-even point. And your break-even point is none other number but the amount of money or the point at which your business does not make any profit, nor does not make any losses. So it means that whatever revenue that you got, if you use that money to pay for your cost, which in this case, the fixed cost, my understanding so far is that if we're able to maintain a consistent break-even point in your business, it means that you are staying afloat in such a way that your working capital is safe. And that is where all of us must stay. Every business must find any means possible to sustain your working capital in your business. Because the moment your working capital reduces, and that's where your business starts struggling. And to be able to sustain yourself at the working capital level, that's where you need to understand the break-even point. And how do we determine this? Number one, we must define what the break-even point is. And he's done it very clearly. You are not making profit, you are not making losses, meaning that you are selling at a certain level that is making you okay, you are surviving. Number two, you must determine your fixed cost for the business. And as a business owner, you must know what cost that you have incurred that is fixed for you. And this would include things like your rent, your salaries, your utility, and I also mentioned things like, what else does this even say about? So what I wrote here is your rent, your salary, your ECG, your water bills. Every cost that is fixed in your business, you must calculate all of them together and put it down. In this example, he gave us an example of 1,200 as a total fixed cost. Number three, you must determine your contributing margin. And your contribution margin is the difference between your selling price and your cost price. And he gave an example that your selling price is 10 cedis and your cost price is 4 cedis. So the difference between the 10 and the 4, which is 6 cedis, is your contributing margin. Then how do we now determine that break-even point that we want to do? The formula he gave us is that the break-even point becomes the fixed cost of your business divided by your contributing margin. So if our fixed cost is 1,200 and then our selling price, then we divide the 1,200 by 6, which gives us 200 units. It means that from day 1 to day 30th of the month, your target minimum is to sell a total of 200 units of your product. If I was you and understood this, and if this was my business, I would quickly take the 200 units that I have to sell, divide it by 4, which is 4 weeks. It means that every week when I go to my business, I must sell 50 units. And if we're working for 5 days in a week, I will divide the 50 units by 5 days in a week. That would mean that every single day that I go to sit in my business, my target is to sell a minimum of 10 units of my product. If you are very clear about this, my dear friends, trust me, you go to work and you not play jokes. Because if you don't meet that 10 units target per day, per week, to add up to the month, you are seriously in business trouble. I've gone even further to do something. So what I've done here is that I've multiplied the 200 units by my selling price to tell me the value of sales that I need to get. So if my selling price is 10 cedis and my unit that I have to sell to break even is 200, I did a very simple calculation. 200 times 10, that makes it 2,000. In that case, my total minimum sales target for the month for my business, for me to stay surviving, is 2,000 Ghana cedis. Nothing more, nothing else. Yeah. If you know this, and your salesman or your saleswoman or sales lady comes to the shop and they start playing, you are going to fight with the person because there's a target you must meet every single day. Mr. Bache, have I been a very good student?
Yes, 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 yes. In fact, what I was about to add is what you have already said. In fact, in answering the break-even point, you can decide to answer, first of all, by the sales unit that I spoke about. And the second one is in terms of finance or in monetary terms. And that is what you have perfectly said. That is the 2000 sales. And in most cases, people also ask you, what is the time, the period that you would also use in order to break even. So in the same way that we've been able to say, oh, we are breaking even by 200 bottles, or we are breaking even by 2000 sales, you ask yourself, how many bottles do we even make in a day? And then you divide it by either the total number of bottles or the total number of days that you work, or the total number of sales that you spoke about. So thank you very much, Doc. You are right on point, and you are being a good student. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, if you have understood this up to this point, kindly let's show some love to Mr. Boache as he continues to take us to the next point, critical number we need to know. Please show some love in the chat box. Type something, show an emoji. Let us appreciate him because we need to understand these numbers tonight before we leave. All right, Mr. Boache, as we let's go on then to the next key number we need to know.
Oh, so some of my students are saying aho in the comment section. So let's say aho, then we respond aho yeah.
Aho, yeah, 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 yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Aho yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so let's look at the second number, which is the burn rate. The burn rate. So the burn here, we are talking about burning something or putting fire into something. The burning rate, the burn rate, knowing your clock. In fact, when we start business, as part of the total cost of starting the business, I have what I call the stay in business cost. So most people will say, okay, I am starting this business with so and so amount, but I'm putting, let's say, 10,000 cedis aside to cater for my expenses or to cater for operating expenses. So you ask yourself, how long will this money that I'm putting aside be before the business becomes stable, as in making profit, or before the business becomes unstable, as in start collapsing or making a loss, a greater loss. So the burn rate it simply means the speed at which a business is spending cash before becoming financially stable. The speed at which a business is spending cash before becoming financially stable. In fact, one major mistake entrepreneurs make is assuming that as long as the business is in operation, everything is fine. That's not the case, not at all, because businesses does not die. Should I say business does not die because they ran out of cash, but in most cases, the businesses die because they look good on paper, but in reality, they are not good. So you might have some cash at the bank that you are using to cater for the business, but how do you know or how do you inform yourself that, oh, within this period, if I don't go for if I don't do something, or if I don't change things, the business might go down or the business might not go down. That is what we call the burn rate. That's what we call the burn rate. So in the same way, let's take another example and go by it. Suppose a business starts with, let's say, 10,000 cedis cash that is available. Any startup, I have started a business and I have 10,000 Ghana cedis available. And every month, my expenses exceed my income by, let's say, 2,000 Ghana cedis. I have 10,000 cedis as my cash that I'm using to run the business. Revenue comes in and out, and others, income comes in and out. But every month, my expenses exceed the income by 2,000 cedis. In this case, we can say that I have 10,000 somewhere. So at the end of the month, when my expenses exceeds my income, I go for 2,000 cedis to come and pay for the expenses. So for you to know your burn rate, you have to divide the total cash that is available to you by the monthly rent, the monthly burn rate, that is the monthly expenses. And that will inform you as to how long the clock is taking for you. So in this example that I'm giving, I have 10,000 and I'm paying 2,000 as expenses every month. That should inform me that in 5 months' time, if I don't do anything, or if I don't change things, the clock is ticking, and in 5 months' time, the business might not survive in 5 months' time. So that is the burn rate. Knowing your clock, the clock is ticking, all right. Probably you went for a loan to start the business. Probably somebody sponsored you to run the business. Maybe it's a grant that you are using to run the business. What is the clock telling you? How long do you have? If you don't go for additional money, or should I say reimbursement, or you don't go for more sponsorship, or you don't try to even make a sale or break even at that level, the clock is ticking. So in fact, we need to sit down and know this number. That will inform you as to what to do. And number one, let me say that it will help you avoid sudden collapse. Sudden collapse. People start business and in 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, sometimes 1 year, they are not there. You cannot find them. It is because they didn't know that the clock was ticking on them. It will also help you to manage your cash properly. Manage your cash properly. If you know every month you are making expenses, the amount of revenue that is coming in is not equal to how much you are spending. Your expenses is higher than the income. Then you should tell yourself that then let's reduce some of the expenses that we are incurring over here. Maybe when we come, we should put off the television. If it's possible, sometimes let's switch off the air conditioning. Let's do this, let's do that. So knowing your burn rate will inform you to manage your cash properly. It will also help you to avoid unnecessary spending. And then it will also help you to plan strategically. So the formula for those who would want to use it in their businesses, the burn rate is equal to your total cash available. Now talking about physical cash that is available, divided by the monthly net burn. In other words, you can say the monthly expenses. So total cash available divided by the monthly burn rate or net burn, or the expenses, however you want to put it. But for you to get the monthly burn rate or the monthly net burn, you need to know your monthly expenses and subtract your monthly income from it. The total monthly expenses minus your total monthly income. And that will give you the monthly net burn. And you divide that by the total cash that is available for the business.
Great.
In fact, let's take note that a business can be profitable on paper and still collapse because it runs out of cash. Doc, please, you can come in.
Great. Thank you very much once again. Another insightful explanation here. I think throughout my whole education as far as business management is concerned today has given me the best explanation of what the burn rate is. Now I'll call Dr. Boache. Congratulations and thank you very much. My dear friends, again, a very critical number that we need to know in our business. If you really want to have your business, if you really want to build your business to last, is to know your burn rate. All that we are saying here is that how much cash have you put aside for your business when you started it? And then you must be tracking every single month. Of course, you must have your total expenditure available. How much you're supposed to be spending every month. Now, if you spend much more than how much you're supposed to be spending per month, let's say my budget for a month is 2,500. Let's say 2,000, but I spend 2,500. It means that I've overspent by 500 Ghana cedis. That difference must be paid for. And that difference is what we are using to now determine How long would it take for me to stay in business? Because we already put some money aside to cushion you as and when you are struggling. And that money aside, you want to know how long it's going to take for that money to finish so that you become aware and manage your business better. We need to understand this, my friends. We really need to understand it. And I'm sure when you even take we human beings as examples, we need to also do this, apply the same thing to our own personal finances because we need to understand this. All right. So what I'm taking away from this is that before I ask my question, before I say that, Mr. Boachi, I want to ask you, is it always appropriate for any business owner to have excess cash available to calculate this burn rate? Or I can start without any cash reserves and just start and just move as it is. I'll just move with the flow, as we used to say.
First of all, I would say yes, it is appropriate for you to have some cash aside. One thing I've come to realize as a consultant is that people start business, and when you ask them, oh, how much money do you need to start a business, they will mention an amount. But in reality, that amount is just the amount they need to start the business, but not to run the business. What I mean by that is, if I tell you that, Dr. TK, please give me 10,000 cedis to start a business. You give me the 10,000 and I use the 10,000 to rent a place. Use the 10,000 to go for, let's say I'm starting a provision shop, 2,000 to rent the shop. I've used 1,000 to do the shells and all that things in the shop. And I use the 7,000 to go for the provisions to come into the shop. And I've actually employed 2 sales girls to also work over there. The 10,000 that I started the business with is finished, but I don't have anything aside. It's done. If by the first month I don't make any good sales, I'm not breaking even. I still need to pay these 2 sales girls. Apart from that, electricity will come. Probably we are using water, so water will also come. Transportation and all other expenses will still come, either you're making sales or not. So in most cases, I advise my clients that when you are starting a business, yes, the startup capital is very important. You get that to start the business, but you need to get what we call the operating expenses or the stay in business cost. That will help you in case you are not making any profit or you are not making any better sales to cater for your expenses. You go for that money to cushion for that. So it is very, very important for us to have extra percentage of whatever it is that we are starting business with somewhere, and that will cushion us. In most people will start business, in no time you don't hear of them again. You meet their workers and you ask them, oh, why are you not going to work? And say, oh, for 3 months my boss is not paying me. For 6 months my boss is not paying me. That is because they didn't have what we call the stay in business cost or the operating expenses. So to answer your question directly, I would say yes, it is very, very important to have a percentage of your startup cost somewhere to cater for your business within maybe 6 months or 1 year, because research has shown that in sub-Saharan Africa, or let me say in Ghana, when you start business, because of customer not knowing you much, they are now building trust and others. It takes a while before you start making real profit. And that is where the profit that you are making will be taking care of the business itself. But within the short to medium term, you have to get something somewhere. And the burn rate will inform you how much or how long that money is going to cater for the business.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, we are learning. We are learning. And I'm happy tonight because even though Mr. Wache is not using a whiteboard, a blackboard, or whatever board to write physically for us to see, by just using words, explanation, he's been able to clearly paint a picture for us to understand exactly what we need to know to do as far as our numbers are concerned. So, Wache, I'm grateful for this conversation. I would come with a few questions that I've got in my WhatsApp feed now, but quickly, let's look at the last topic, which is the profit margin. Then we'll come back to answer questions that are coming in right now. Please, you may go ahead with the next topic. Next topic, yes.
So the next number we should also take note of is the net profit margin. The net profit margin. Over here, we are talking about the percentage of the total revenue that remains as actual profit after all expenses, tax, interest, and costs have been deducted. The underlying word over here is the percentage of total revenue. The percentage of total revenue. Most people are making revenue, that's all right. But ask yourself, how much of that revenue you are making really remains as profit in the business? That is a question we need to ask ourselves as an entrepreneur or as a business owner. Out of every one cedi that your business earns, maybe from sales or from services or however, how much is left as your actual profit? That is what we mean by the net profit margin. The net profit margin. But in most cases, people confuse themselves with the net profit. So let me touch quickly on the net profit. The net profit is actually the amount of money remaining after all expenses are deducted. So over here, we are using amount of money. But when you go to the net profit margin, we are talking about the percentage of the total revenue. So the net profit is, should I say, just the total revenue minus the total expenses. Then you get your net profit. Your total revenue for the business minus your total expenses. Then we can say that you have gotten your net profit. But when we come to the net profit margin, we are talking about dividing your net profit by your total revenue. And whatever it is that you get, you multiply it by 100. So let's say that if we are looking at the net profit alone, my total revenue is, let's say, 50,000 Ghana cedis. That's my total revenue. And my total expenses is, let's say, 42,500. My total revenue is 50,000. And my total expenses for the period is 42,500. Then when I'm looking at my net profit, I will just subtract the 42,500 from the 50,000 and I'll get 7,500. So the 7,500 over here, I can say is my actual money, the actual money I've earned after all expenses. Then you ask yourself, what percentage of that really remains in the business as your main profit? That is what we talk about, the net profit margin. The net profit margin. So in the same way, let me give another example. Let's say our net profit that we got at the end of the day is 20,000 Ghana cedis. That's our net profit. And then our total revenue for that period was 100,000. Remember, I've already said that the formula for the net profit margin is you divide the net profit by the total revenue and you multiply whatever you get by 100. So if our net profit is 20,000 and then our total revenue is 100,000.
Mr. Wacha, 1 second.
All right.
Mr. Wacha, 1 second. I'm getting confused here a bit. So maybe some other people might be getting the same issue. If I have it, so let me use figures here and you work with me if it's going right. I have a total revenue of, say, 1,000 Ghana cedis. That's the total sale that I made per month. And I have a total expenditure of 500 Ghana cedis. Are we saying that if I subtract, so if I do total revenue minus total expenses, which is 1,000 cedis minus 500 cedis.
Minus 500.
That gives me 500 Ghana cedis.
Profit.
Is this my net
profit? 500 Ghana cedis is your net profit. Yes.
Is it my gross profit or my net profit?
Net profit.
Net profit. Okay, good. So now once I've got my net profit, we want to now find out the percentage, the net profit percentage.
Yes, please.
And that's why we are saying that we do net profit, which is the 500, divided by total revenue. Total revenue.
Yes.
That is 1,000 Ghana cedis.
Which was the 1,000 Ghana cedis.
Yes, multiplied by 100, correct?
Multiplied by 100. And that will give you the net profit margin. Yes.
That's 50%.
Yes, please.
I get it now.
So on paper, you can just say that, oh, I made a revenue of this, and then my expenses was this. So I am making 500 Ghana cedis as my net profit. But somebody will ask you, then what is the percentage of that? What is the percentage? And then you come back to say, okay, when I do this and I multiply by 100, I am getting 50%. This will actually inform you in a lot of ways. It will inform you in a lot of ways by making decisions, by pricing confidently, and a whole lot of things. I don't know, Doc, if you have other questions that you want to ask, please.
Yes, there's a question here. Maybe we need to look at it after we are done with all. Okay, fine. So I have one in the chat box that says that from Dominic, I'm really learning something new and exciting. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dominic, as well. But he goes on to say, please, it is always a must to have a burn rate. Like to start making losses. Let's say my physical cash is 1,000 cedis, and at the end of the month I make profit like 500 cedis. Do I have a burn rate? I don't know. I don't understand your question too well. Dominic, I'll be very glad if you can raise your hand and ask the question for us to have some clarity, so that we'll be able to give you an answer very well. But again, we'll go back to Mobes Prestige Ventures, and then his question says that I'm a website developer, graphic designer, art content creator, and brand advisor. For those of us offering digital services, how can we structure our business and apply these strategies to scale beyond just surviving? I'm sure, Mobes, you are surviving, right? Thank you very much for accepting that. Say amen. Most examples focus on physical products. So what's the approach for service-based businesses like ours? Please, boss, help me. All right. Mobes is surviving. He's in trouble. Oh, survivor is good at this point. Once you're breaking even, that's fine. But
Yeah.
he wants us to apply this to services. Do you have any idea to help me on that, please?
I would ask, if you say you are a web developer, how much do you incur in making a web for somebody? In fact, we need to have a way of knowing all these things, and that will inform you as to how you look at the numbers we are talking about. Otherwise, you will just be making price, and if I contact you that, oh, I want you to develop a web for me, you just give me any price, and you think you are doing very well, but in actuality, you are not doing anything, or you are just surviving. So I don't know, back to Dominic's question, and I'll use it to also look at this. The point is, we are not saying that whenever you start business, start making loss. Not at all. Nobody wants to start business and then immediately starting the business, you are making a loss. Nobody starts a journey by thinking that, oh, I am going to fail within the journey and then I will use it to encourage myself. Nobody does that. But what we are saying is that when you start a business, at least start from the point where you are breaking even. You are neither making loss, neither are you also making a loss. At least start from there. And by starting from there, also ask yourself, if this is the case, how long do I have to stay here before I start making profits or I start sinking? That is your burn rate, the period or the clock is ticking on you. How long do you have to be there? And when all things become equal for you and you are making profits now, ask yourself, am I just going to tap into my revenue and spend it anyhow because I do not know actually how much percent of the money I'm making, which is my real money or the money that is for the business? So that is the main reason why we are looking at this. So depending on which industry or sector you find yourself, you need to know the best ways to calculate your fixed cost, your variable cost, and all the ingredients we are talking about, all the numbers we are talking about, just so you can do proper pricing and know your numbers very right. That is the main reason why today, if you are here, you are privileged to be here. You are enjoying the build to last by Hypax Services. You can reach Dr. TK and the team among myself, and we can help you based on whichever business you are operating or whichever sector you find yourself. We can help you tailor-made numbers for you, and then you look at it and then run the business successfully for whichever sector that you find yourself. Because of time, you might not be able to take each sector example by example, but you have the privilege to reach out to HIPAC services for us to help you whenever they need be. Doc, please.
All right, great. Thank you very much. I was going to use HiPAC services as an example for movers for probably people in the services industry to see.
Service sector.
But I love the way that you mentioned how you do. We should go about because our time is we only have 5 minutes more to go. But what I would advise is that irrespective of your industry, all the formulas we are, all the things we are talking about applies to everybody. We here at HiPAC Services, we offer services. We offer training, consulting, and coaching services to entrepreneurs and business owners to be able to scale their businesses. We offer service. We don't sell any product so far. We don't sell any physical, tangible items so far. We know that our profit margin now is about 35%. What it means to us that once we know our fixed cost, let's say our fixed cost, let's say 25,000. If our fixed cost is 25,000 and our profit margin is 35%, we just have to see that our okay, so I was trying to do this. So 25,000 divided by 35 percentage means that 71,000 is my break-even point. So every single month, you have to find a way. I'm just giving an example. You need to find a way to understand that. But I think most importantly, if we're in service, the first critical point you must know is that what are the costs that I need to pay for either I get a business or not. And I know for you in the website, graphic design and all that, Mobes, please, Lizzie is typing a number for you to quickly get back to her once you are done with this discussion. You in website development, you must number one, know how much you're paying yourself as a salary. You need to know it. Even if it's 100 Ghana, you must know it. Number two, even though you may be operating from your own room, I would wish that you put the rent of your room or share the room with you yourself and your business and then put that as a fixed cost for you. Of course, you are using electricity. If you're using your own room and you're paying, say, 200 Ghana cedis for your rent, for your room for ECG, divide that into two because you're using the same room to sleep and rest, and half of that also goes into your business. So you must put electricity there as part of your cost. You use internet more than anybody else in this world. How much internet are you using per day, per month? It's a fixed cost. Put it down. You make calls. Write it down. Communication. You take transport to places. Put it down. Now, once you put that cost down, it will give you a very clear indication as to exactly what your fixed costs are. And I think, Mr. Wache, what I've seen many of the business we work with, especially those in services, is that many of them assume that because they're not selling physical, tangible item, they don't have fixed costs. Na lie. Na lie, na lie, na lie, na lie. You see, if you find somebody who is selling provision in a store, this person can quickly tell you, I'm selling milk, I'm selling sugar, and I have a store, a brick and mortar property where I sell my product from. So it becomes easier for those people in physical product sales to determine these ones. We in service too, we have. As I'm talking to you right now, we are operating for an office. I have to pay for rent. I have to pay for electricity. I have to pay for salaries. I have to pay for water. I have to pay for some other costs. If you don't know those costs, it becomes extremely difficult as a service provider to know where you stand as a business. And that's why many of us in service, it looks as if we are running a business. It looks as if we are joking. Joking for a better one of word. I'm sorry, but to use that word. So, Mobes, please let's get together right after we are done with this and let's discuss this issue. And for me, for my understanding again, deeper understanding of what we have discussed again tonight, I'm going to sit back again and look at my numbers because it's critical. And I'm sure if we were even met in face-to-face session, we'll have had the opportunity to even go deeper and deeper and deeper into this as well. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Wache, quickly. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, you have comments, if you want to add to what we have discussed so far, please raise your hand, make some comment. Let's learn together. We don't know it all. If you're an accountant here, please help us. Tell us why you think that it's important for us to keep these numbers. And before I go to the questions, please, you may want to type in the chat box, what numbers are you keeping in your business right now? These three numbers we mentioned about, which of them are you really, really working on? Do you know your break-even point? Have you even done it before? Do you know your profit margin? Do you know a percentage? If I ask you now, how much profit, what's your profit margin for your business? Can you tell me exactly what it is? Like I told you, ours is 35%. Can you tell us exactly what it is? I'm sure not. Again, do you really know your burn rate? Do you know these very basic numbers? Please, if you are using any of these numbers at all in your business now, please type in the chat box as I read the questions I have here from some of my friends who have sent me messages in my chat box. So please answer the questions for me. Which of these numbers are you indeed really, really working on in your business? All right, so this question comes from Vida. Vida says, good evening, Dr. TK, and good evening, Mr. Wachi, for that practical examples you've given. Even though you are not using a whiteboard, indeed, you have made me to understand these numbers very clearly. God bless you, Mr. Boache. God bless you, Dr. TK and your team, and God bless you, Built to Last. Thank you very much, Verda. This is also coming from Asamoah, my father's name. Wow. Asamoah, thank you very much for joining me. Maybe it's my father who has resurrected and come to join us. FK, if you are here, good evening. All right, so Asamoah says, good evening, Dr. TK, and thank you, Mr. Boache, for your explanation. I really enjoyed this, even though very short. It looks as if I've listened to you for 3 hours. Thank you so much. I thought that break even was for big businesses. I didn't know it also applied to me as a small business. Thank you very much. I'm going to work on mine tonight before I sleep. Wow. Thank you so much. In fact, there was a question I was going to ask you, Mr. Boache. Let me ask that before I read the next few questions that I have here. Do we, as small business as we are, as entrepreneurs as we are, do we have to bother ourselves at all about these numbers? Because this is what Asamoah said. It just brought me back to the question. Do we need to bother ourselves with this, please? Mr. Boache, are you there? Okay, I think we lost him. He's not connected now. I'll go ahead to read the comments and the questions in the chat box. If you join us again, then we can now continue from the question that I asked him from. All right. So the next question also comes from Kofi Ajiman. Kofi Ajiman says that good evening, Dr. TK, and thank you very much again for another exciting and impactful discussion. This program indeed is making me understand that business is not for the faint-hearted. It needs determination, it needs skills, it needs you to constantly be learning. Thank you very much for doing this for us for free. This last one, I don't understand it too well. Do you think, please, the last part, I don't understand what you said, so kindly type it back again for me to read for you, Kofi. All right. The next one
Oh,
comes
sorry.
from, good. All right. So, but if you're back quickly, I was asking, do we as small business owner need to bother ourselves with these numbers? Because somebody just said that he thought that most of these numbers are concerned for big companies. Why should we at the small business level be concerned about these numbers we talk about?
Well, in fact, it's not for only big companies or big businesses. I mentioned from the beginning that my uncle's wife, my auntie, used to say, "Oh, God help me to get my money back." And those of us who are saying we are owing small business, we normally say this. At that point where she was saying, "Help me get my money back," all that she was saying is, "God help me to break even." That's what she was saying. So normally we are even calculating all these numbers, but we actually do not know specifically that this is what we are doing. In fact, it is very important for all businesses, but because the big companies, they have we the accountants for us to do it for them. Normally it doesn't come out plainly. But when you are an entrepreneur or you are a startup owner, you are doing everything on your own. That is the main reason why you need to understand this, because it will help you to make fact, what should I say, fact-based decisions. You will not just make any kind of decision, but your decisions are fact-based because you know your break-even number, you know your burning rate, you know your net profit and your profit margin. So whatever decision you are making is a fact-based. It's being backed by facts. You will not just be making pricing anyhow. You will be making pricing confidently. You know that if I should sell one unit or one product for this amount, at least I'll break even or I'm still making my profit. You are confident of doing that. In fact, investors will also trust you, most especially the banks and the investors that invest in our business. They will trust and understand our numbers because most of the banks will come and ask you, what is your break-even point? Oh, okay, if we give you this money, how much profit would you be making? What percentage of profit will you be making within 1 year, within 2 years, within the period they are talking about? So the banks and the investors will be asking you all these questions. And let me also add that you have your mental peace, your peace of mind. Understanding your numbers will reduce the fear and the uncertainty that comes in running a business. For instance, if I have a juice making business and I am working in the Ahafo region and the business is in Kumasi, per the examples that we used, I know that whenever we make a 200 bottles, at least we break even. Whenever we make 201 and more bottles, we are making profit. So that will help me to have my mental peace and then stay wherever it is that I am. And then you would also grow strategically. When you know these numbers, you grow strategically. You know exactly when your business can expand safely and when not to expand. You will not just be making or opening branches, employing people because they are family members and all those things. So it is very, very important that no matter the size of your business or the kind of business you are running, you get to know these numbers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much again. Abdul Razak says that good evening, Dr. TK and Dr. Boache. Thank you so much for your insightful lecture. I'm so inspired. May the Almighty God richly bless you all for making time to inspire us every week, despite your busy schedule. Thank you very much, Abdul, for sharing that as well with us. I would like to take a few questions, comments here again, and then we'll bring our discussion to a close tonight. This is coming from Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, good evening, Dr. TK. I've joined you all the way from Dubai, where I've been living for the past 6 years. This is my first time of joining this program, and I'm so inspired and excited. A friend shared it to me from Ghana, and I think I should never miss this conversation. I've started a couple of business in Ghana for my friends and family to run it for me, but they always ask me for money to pay for the bills in Ghana. Meanwhile, they were making profit. Number one, I think I did not know my break-even point. Number two, I didn't even know my fixed cost. Number three, I didn't know I never even thought about burn rate, let alone to even calculate it. This may be the reason why I lost all money, especially for the past 8 months from that business. They've actually asked me today to bring more money to pay for rent because our rent is expiring next year. I guess I would have to do all these calculations first before I move ahead to send them the money. Thank you very much. If I have known this, maybe I would have lost a lot of money. How do I contact you? Okay, great. I'll send you my number so we can now discuss that also. So thank you very much for joining us all the way from Dubai, and I love the conversation you have brought in here so far. This is all that we all have to know. If you know this, I'm sure we'll all stay in business for a long, long, long time. There is another one too from Belinda. Belinda says, good evening, Dr. TK, and thank you very much again for this program. This year, I've missed only one of of this program, and I'm never going to miss it again. My question is, how do you find your resource persons? Who? This one I have to Mr. Wachi, you know what somebody's asking me? How do I find resource person? I wish she can tell us why she's asking the question. I'm sure she's surprised where I get these very resourceful people coming from. I'm sure that's why she's asking that. Anyway, thank you very much for that compliment. I'm really grateful for that. It's not easy, my friend, and this is why I probably want to say something. It is not easy at all. We've been doing this, I think, Lisa, how many topics have we done so far? 150? About 100 and something episodes so far. And if I tell you sometimes how we have to crack our brains to get the topics and probably even get the resource person to come here, you have no idea. But we thank God so much for the grace and for the wisdom that He gives to us that whatever we look for, as far as somebody to speak, somebody to help us on this, we are always able to get. It's not because we are the best, it's not because of anything else, but I think it's because of our good heart to help people to survive their businesses. That's why we are doing this. So please keep praying for us. Keep praying for us. It's not easy at all. At all. I'll tell you that. I mean, especially when you don't have to even offer the resource person any honorarium for spending their time with us. Some of them have to really have to research before they come. But again, it's all because of the love of this community. So thank you for acknowledging that as well. There's a question from Abdul. Please, is it advisable to reduce the selling price of my products and continue to break even to stay in business, probably as a result of competition in the market? Oh, that's a good question. Mr. Bachi, can we take a few minutes to answer this question? This is a very, very good question. Abdul, thank you so much.
In fact, I first said that um, when you are entering a competition or market for the first time, it is better to study your competitors, know how they set their pricing and others before you also make your pricing. But I wouldn't say it is always advisable to reduce your selling price just so you break even and then beat your competitors. Sometimes you can reduce the selling price and still make profits. But ask yourself, what is the margin you are looking for? If Isaac and Abdul are all in the same market and they sell mobile phones, they go to the same supplier to bring the phone from wherever it is, China or Japan or America. And they sell the phone, maybe 10 phones for 10,000 Ghana cedis, and then they bring them to Kumasi, meaning that each phone, if you want to break even, there are 10 phones that the two of them brought, and they made a cost of 10,000 Ghana cedis, meaning that if they want to break even, at least they should sell each phone for 1,000 Ghana cedis. You will know that Isaac will decide that, okay, I'm going to sell each phone for 1,100 Ghana cedis. Abdul will say, I'm going to sell my phone for 1,400 Ghana cedis. Isaac will sell his 1,100 Ghana cedis, will still make profits. Abdul will sell his 1,400 Ghana cedis, will still make profits. But the underlying word here is, if you are a customer, knowing all these factors, who would you go and buy from? You might think that Isaac is doing nothing because his is just 1,100. But in actual sense, he's still making profit. So when we say break even, we are not just saying that, oh, by all means, reduce your selling price so that you can compete in the market. And that is to say, oh, my total income or total revenue is equal to my total expenses. That is not the fact. But what we are saying is, look at your competitors, look at the market you find yourself. If you are now entering the market, then come out with the strategic pricing that will help you to beat your competitors in the market. But not necessarily saying, we are not necessarily saying that by all means start from the break-even point. No.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mr. Wachi, for the answer that you've given. There are a couple of questions that comment that I would have wanted to read, but unfortunately, time is already spent. We'll have to end our discussion here. But before you go, Mr. Wachi, would you want to give us some final words quickly?
The final words I would want to say is that just as you go to the hospital and then the doctor will look at your vitals to determine what is wrong with you, let's also get to know the numbers in our businesses, just so we can say what is wrong or what is right with our businesses. Because we don't just do business because everyone is doing. We do business because we are using it to solve a particular problem we have seen for our customers. But in doing that, we need to know the numbers to inform ourselves. And if you are looking for people to help you do that, depending on whichever industry you find yourself, Hypack Services is the right place to go. I am sure Doctor will mention all our channels and then others. Thank you to everyone for listening to me and paying attention to my lessons that we have learned today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boache, for the 60 plus minutes of your time sharing with us insightful numbers that we need to know in our businesses. I'm so grateful to you, bro. God richly bless you. Can we show some love to Mr. Boache for all that he's done for us tonight? Please show some love, show some emojis, show something, show something, show something. Let's see that we are really appreciate what he's done for us tonight. Whilst I also bring a summary of what we just done. So what we just done basically is for us to understand the fact that we need to know the numbers in our businesses. Everyone must know these numbers. And the one number you told us to know your break-even point. Number two is know your burn rate. And number three is to make sure that you know your net profit margin. What money is left available for you as a business owner to enjoy. These are very simple but important critical numbers that every single person who say that you are in business, you must know. If you don't know these numbers, you are in trouble already. And I love the comment that came from our friend from Dubai. She says that if she has even got to understand her break-even point, maybe she would have not be sending money all the way from Dubai every time to pay even salaries in Ghana. Meanwhile, the business is even dying. So where have the monies all gone to? Big issue, big trouble for all of us. So I want to say thank you all very much. If indeed you want to sit down, I want us to sit down with you. If you want us to sit down with you,
I think Albert, his hand is up, and then I don't know.
Oh, okay. Oh, Albert, great. Albert, thank you very much, Mr. Kufu. Please go ahead.
My hand has been up for a long time.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So I want to thank you for this opportunity and also thank Mr. Boachi for the insightful lessons. My comment is on the question from the person from Dubai. Doc, we've been hearing these things happening. They set up businesses, then they send the money gets squandered. Let me use that harsh words. Doc, I want to advise for all our listeners and all our business people, at any point in time that they are engaging people, this is something I heard one of the banks they do. The person you are engaging should have the capacity to bring in 4 times of how much you are paying the person.
Wow.
Doc, please, do you understand?
Yes.
Yes. So you are not engaging people, then they will call you, bring money for this, bring money for that. Then what are they doing there? So they should be able to bring returns 4 times. Then out of the 4, one will be their emolument or their salary. One will be to cover their own expenses. Then one will be in reserve for the business growth. Then one will also come to you as part of your capital returns. Look, otherwise, most of our businesses will not survive. They will not succeed. This is my comment, Doc. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Albert. Albert is a seasoned, everyday person who hangs with us every single week. Albert, so thank you so much. Albert has been a very good resource person for us on this program on countless and numerous occasions. I'm so grateful to you, Senior, for joining us again tonight. So once again, I want to say thank you to all of you for making time to stay up to this point. I'm sure you have all learned a lot. And I was saying that if you want us to sit down with you to guide you to put your budget together well, to set up your financial system in your business, please call us. Albert, who just spoke to us, is a chartered accountant. He's been in this business for a very, very long time. Abel deals with very, very big companies. And when it comes to a small business level, what I love about him is that he's able to crack and break down all the big corporate level accounting, finance stuff to the level that we as small business can understand. And that's why we are all here tonight. It is free. Here, not for Albert, please. It is free for you to learn it from here. But please get in touch with us. Let us help you to set your financial system together. And I'm sure we all build our business to last. That's our vision. That's our dream. God willing, next week we'll continue with our conversation. And thank God we are coming up with something very exciting for all of us on this page from next week. So please stay tuned with us and watch our pages very soon. We'll let you know what's going to happen in the next few weeks ahead of us, probably in June. And then we can all continue to work together to build our business to last. So once again, have a good night. Thank you all very much. The recording will be made available on our YouTube page. Please, you may go there to watch it and rewatch it till you understand this concept for you to be able to work on your businesses. Have a good night and thank you all very much. Bye-bye.